say being woke or being conscious, has it become mainstream, would you say?
History erases the mystery, man. And that's perpetually our problem as a group. People are using it as a way to gain money. You know, it's not or fame. There's once we get into that, then we're arrived at what it really is supposed to represent.
The original intended
once
purpose.
It becomes mainstream, just like anything else, it can be misrepresented.
Man, it is the C word, man. And I think you both know what that is, man. I did my research on it and looking at it. Do you think it was weaponized or politicized or both? Like
everybody has a piece of knowledge. So now it's really about how you apply that.
The D.Fos podcast with my man J.Capital, man, the woke supremacy episode. This episode, you know, is real hot. We've been really wanting to touch the subject on this, man. This is my brother from back in the day, man. You know, we first linked up on the streets of Vegas, you know what I mean? But I always knew he was a conscious cat. I knew it was another layer to him, you know what I mean? We just met on the hip hop side, but I always knew it was another layer to him. So he was the first person in mind when I thought of this series, Woke Supremacy. So I definitely had to reach out to him, man. I appreciate you coming on. How you doing today, bro? How you doing? You good?
Oh man, I'm good, man. You know, out here in Texas now, you know, but
yeah.
I'm good.
Is it Arlington, Texas? Is it Arlington, Texas?
Yeah, I'm in Arlington right now. I probably might, the way it look outside, I might end up going to the lake later, but
okay.
Yeah, I'm in Arlington, man.
Okay. And how long you been out there now? Because you originally a plant from Vegas, but how long you been out there now? I know we had talked about it, but just a little bit.
Oh yeah. I've been here since last August, so just about 5 months or so, and it's cool. You know, I had some personal things, like everybody know. I lost my parents during all this.
Sorry to hear that, man.
So
sorry to hear that, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I just circled 1 year on my mother in this, but that's probably what sparked the trip, man. Initially, is just to kind of air out, get out of the city, and
get away, get a new environment,
get myself together.
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of one of them things.
Have you been adjusting down there to is it a big cultural difference? Is it a big shift, would you say?
Yeah, I would say it's a big shift. I do see a lot of the same things. I mean, I guess being from Vegas, the first thing is just how big the Metroplex is. You know, the way the way out there, the way I guess for instance, I guess the way the Northtown, West Side, and the East Side can kind of get lumped together.
Yeah,
you know, and like an outside perspective, not really like us who know, but how that could kind of get lumped together. That's really like what we would call a metroplex, right? 3 different supposed cities, you know, but kind of in the same, general area.
Okay.
Well, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Arlington it's kind of like that. You know, Dallas is only maybe like 10, 15 minutes away.
They're bigger though, huh?
Right.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Right. It's just a bigger metroplex. So it's better gas prices, basically, but you gotta drive farther to get anywhere.
Okay. I know I was in I know it's probably different, but we was in Houston one time and somebody said, "Oh, it's just right up the street." And it was like 10 miles. I'm like, man, what part of right up the street is that, man? You know, it was like, but it's so big, they probably used to saying it, so that's great.
Right. I mean, no real, even where I'm at, there's no real like just the whole neighborhood thing is set up. You basically have to have a car.
Okay, that's what yeah, so far. Okay, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, but okay, man, just touching on the particulars, man. So man, this episode, man, woke supremacy, man. We're gonna start it off saying, would you say being woke or being conscious, has it become mainstream, would you think?
Yeah, I would definitely say being being the title of conscious or woke has definitely become mainstream. And mainstream, probably, mainstream to a sense to where people are using it as a way to gain money. It's not or fame. There's once we get into that, then we're awry from what it really is supposed to represent.
The original intended
once
purpose.
It becomes mainstream, just like anything else, it could be misrepresented.
Okay. And then they it's like used as an opportunity now. You know what I mean? Like they, of course, now I'm sure you've seen, like now it's in the political arena now. It's real big in the political arena. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, because the language itself more resonates with regular people. So it's kind of like a way to get people on board. The issue though is when you have people who are coming into knowledge, so to speak, or an awakening state, or woke, or conscious, what have you, people who maybe not necessarily have been introduced to that world. When they come into the world, they're running right into these same people that we're speaking of, who use it in a mainstream way, a monetary value. They're scamming them and stuff like that. So then a perception of what being woke or being a part of the conscious community is, the whole purpose of it gets kind of thrown out.
It's like they're misrepresenting it.
Right. That's what happens. When you don't understand it, you misrepresent it when it's mainstream.
Yeah. And giving it a bad name and kind of like changing the true definition of it. But that's them people. You know how them people, they snatch everything we do and try to take it and run and flip it and put their sauce on it. You know what I'm saying? After we didn't, the original people then came up with something, they try to take it and run with it. You know what I mean? Commercialize it, sell it, put it on shirts. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely crazy. Well, how long?
We saw that with Black Lives. We saw that with Black Lives Matter. We literally saw that with Black Lives Matter. Everything you said.
That was so disgusting. I mean, they was profiting off death. You know what I mean? But you know who was behind that, right? Black Lives Matter. You know who's behind that, right?
Yeah, someone not from our community.
Yeah, right. And it was catchy. I give it to them. And the donations was flooding in there. They was getting it was, and people really thought that was a legitimate cause. So they donating to it. And I'm like, man, it's, I think it was the Koch brothers that's behind it. But they got big paper, man. They shift the world, man. It's just cold how they do it, man. And then like every time there was a police killing or a death or something, now everybody's donating to it. So now the money was just going through the roof, man. It's just crazy, man. It's just sad how they do it. What do you think about?
But I want to say though, we have to be able to use those moments as teaching tools. We can forever in this information age encapsulate that time and literally break it down how you said in a short documentary or short a bit of video information to allow us to not have this thing happen again, and to help us try to avoid falling for the tricks like, hey, where did these companies come from? And why is it all of a sudden so prevalent? Have nothing to do with us. Make us be more detailed in our research in these things that are so called for us. Because if we were able to do that type of research, or had the inclination off top to just want to do that type of research before they come selling us t-shirts, before they come selling us the slogan and all of that type of stuff, then we could make a conscious or a woke decision.
Right. If we take it one step further and do more research before we just run out and support stuff that we ain't really know what's behind it. I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. Because they say our people are the biggest consumers, man. You know what I'm saying? And as soon as some trend start or some hot start, we gone. No research, no looking into it. We stop on the first floor. We don't go no further, man. So I think that's a good point, man. Especially, right around like I would say 2018 to like 20, it was real heavy. You know what I mean? Like when all them police deaths, the George Floyd, all that stuff was going, it was real thick around that time too, man. Real thick around that time.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
What would you say,
man?
Yeah. Would you say to as speaking for yourself, I'll speak on myself too. How long, I mean, because it seems like being conscious, woke or whatever is something that people come into, but some people, I feel like myself, I was kind of conscious. I've been conscious like almost all my life, but I wasn't sure what it was. You know what I mean? How did you feel that you came into knowledge? Did you feel it was something that you always was, or like what? You explain that history from your perspective.
Yeah, I think once I began to understand the spiritual side. Okay, I'm gonna start there. Okay, once I began to understand the spiritual side, okay, I realized how much it had already been in me. Right. Okay, that's kind of how it was. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Now, in a real sense, I had to come into it like anybody else. I was probably, we started off with the Illuminati. Everything was about the Illuminati. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Every little conspiracy and da. But that was, to me, what I would learn later was a deflection, but a very small definition of a bigger picture. Right. Okay. Yeah. So it was, so it's kind of the start of the road. But then later on, I knew a lady, a social worker out in Vegas, and she gave me my first piece of like revolutionary literature, which was Eldridge Cleaver's Soul on Ice. So I got that book. That's a book. Was it like a autobiography, or what kind of book? Like, what was it? It was more of his feelings. There were a bunch of letters and stuff that he was writing while he was incarcerated. Okay. But the significance of it is kind of him going through that kind of Malcolm process, where Malcolm used to be kind of like a hustler in the street and stuff like that, and then he moves into his own set of consciousness. Okay. Now with Eldridge Cleaver, the book was more of just talking about him being, it's his perspective from prison and stuff like that, but he's kind of breaking down how the images of like TV, the way of life and stuff like that, how impactful it was just on him as a black man, and in particular just what was sold to him. So I got the book, and then it just kind of started me on a path of like, oh, this is what's happening to, this is not singularly something, even though we kind of all know, just being black and coming from black families, but it kind of really put a deeper meaning on it. Like, oh no, the start of it is more. Okay. Yeah, this is like, this thing is deep. What era did he live in? With 60s, 70s? When would you say that dude that was written from? That it was definitely in the 60s. Okay. Definitely during the 60s. He was a strong leader for them. He went and had on some different ideologies than what he initially started with, going into the Panthers and stuff like that. But ultimately, it was the 60s era. If you know anything about the civil rights era, the 60s era, that was basically a hotbed. That was the thing to do. You know what I mean? The thing to do was to be a part of the community, to be woke, to be conscious. That was almost like trying to be in the NBA or something, right? Striving to be a rapper. Right. That was the equivalent of being. You're right. You sure was right. You're right. Yeah. It had to be like just a heck of an era to be in. Like if you was of age and like in your prime, it had to just be something else, man. To be in that era, bro. I might have to definitely look that up, man. I'm gonna put that book in the comments too, man, and the links. People can get his Soul on Ice. So that started the thing. Now, since we hit that, we're gonna hit another dip. How we was talking about how you said he was like with the Malcolm. How do you feel about the Malcolm versus Martin approach? If it was a conscious versus,
Malcolm and Martin would be the biggest conscious verses, I think it is. How do you feel their plights was and their approaches was? How do you feel about that?
I think their approaches speak to their background. Okay. Right? Speak a lot to their background.
Okay.
Martin being more the traditional church that we may know, which is a lot more all-inclusive. It's all-inclusive.
Okay. All-inclusive.
Right. It's love thy brother. It's the traditional Bible way of doing things. Right. Malcolm, although also a spiritual man, has taken on a religion that at that time was built to be specifically for Black people.
For the Black, right.
Right, specifically for the Black man to help them turn around their addiction, turn around their mentalities. And, and if we're honest in our era about that, that organization has turned a lot of brothers around.
Man, they didn't. I have so much respect for the organization because it seems like brothers get in there and it ain't no half stepping when you get in there, man. It ain't no falling back. Like them brothers hold each other accountable. They get off the substance abuse. They get off the bad eating. I got I read a message to the Black man. I read some of the literature from them. Watch a lot of Farrakhan stuff, but just what they do for the Black man, dude, is no joke, bro. Just like no joke, man. I mean, I always got high respect for them because of their standards. You know what I mean? Of their standards, man. So it was definitely different approaches, man. Do you think they had the same goal or I know they was for liberation of the people. Do you think they wanted something different? Like Malcolm wanted one thing and Martin wanted one thing too?
Initially.
Okay.
I think initially Martin wanted equal across the board. I eat where you eat, this and that.
Yeah.
And Malcolm was just more of let's just have our own restaurant.
Right.
I think
right.
You know what I mean? That way we don't have to go through the trouble of asking anybody whether we could be here.
Yeah. And I respect that. Yeah. He was more for his people.
Correct. But I want to say this. I think this is why when you do history sometimes or all the time, I suggest this all the time, so don't mix up what I'm saying. You got to do things in chronological order. So initially, but the answer to the question is they definitely wanted the same thing, because by the time Martin in 1968 is doing what he's doing shortly before he passes or leading up into him passing, so we'll just say 67 to 68, this man was basically saying the same thing that Malcolm was saying.
He learned it after a while. He figured out hey, man, this is the wrong thing I've been doing, huh? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So when we talk about Malcolm and Martin, see, in 2022, everything has to be assessed from what was already, what went wrong, what went right. So we can encapsulate that. So we could just encapsulate a period of time. The 60s showed us how to be unified. It showed us what our communities and our people would look like when we're preaching Black power, Black is beautiful, and really putting ourselves forward to build a community. That's what kind of was going on, right? They're fighting the system, but they're trying to build something, right? And it's about us having something. So by 68, they're all on the same page. Malcolm is gone. Martin about to be gone, but they're on the same page. They realized that
Malcolm got killed first, right? Malcolm was gone first.
Solely focused on integration and all that.
Okay.
My bad. Go ahead.
Yeah, I said Malcolm was killed first. You said he was gone first, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they ended up having basically the same ideology, and that's why in our era we don't want to get caught up in the verses. We don't. We want to be able to detailed look at it and say Malcolm and Martin were on the same page. They were on the same page, literally wanting us to have our independence.
Right, literally, yeah. Just depends on what approach you was riding with. Because I ain't gonna lie, Malcolm was radical. I mean, the gun out the door.
He was.
He was radical. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't playing though, but it's crazy. Even in 2022, we are still talking about what these brothers did in the 60s, man. You know what I mean? Like that's crazy, man. Well, why do you think it was so many leaders killed in that era, man? You think they was just trying to knock them off before they could start anything, or what? Because you think of like all the whole Black Panther, the Huey P. Newtons, and there's just so much went on in the 60s, man.
I think it's a progression. Mm-hmm. So I think when it started, it's kind of like you got to see. They want to see where it goes.
Where it goes, okay.
Once you command the people in that sense, then it becomes let's target this individual. Mm-hmm. But that speaks to the group. The group is so conditioned to want to see someone up there telling somebody what to do. Yeah. We have to understand that this is an individual thing within your home. Mm-hmm. Whoever you are is what you contribute to the table, right?
Yeah.
We teach era to art from it to build the infrastructure today. Mm-hmm. We need both. Mm-hmm. We need both.
That's true.
We need both.
It's true, yeah. If they would have teamed up and got together, man, ain't no telling, man. But definitely
that was coming. If you go back and read the reports, that was coming. Malcolm
was coming.
Getting ready to start making his way down south. I think he maybe made one, but I'm talking about made heavy run. I was doing East Coast and stuff like that, and even went over to Africa. Everything is about when he came back from Africa to me. But when
who came back? When Malcolm came back from Africa?
Yeah, that was the changing point. Yeah, that's the Malcolm that I pay attention to.
Right.
The one. Now I'm respectful to him. Of course, we always praise our ancestors and whatnot. But the thing is, specifically, I'm studying that time to learn what I can. To only look at history to learn what I can do today. Mm-hmm. And that Malcolm from after he was a period of time. That's the one we want. That's what we're talking about. The one that was talking about to the UN. The one that talked about setting his religion to the side for just a second to talk about us as a group, because he understood that not all of us as a group fit into a Islamic box or a Christian box or an AME box or a Presbyterian box. Like when we talk about dealing with us as a group, building infrastructure for us as a group, we have to have the ability, and I wholeheartedly believe this, we have to have the ability to set our religion in that room, talk about it. Mm-hmm. The fact is if I keep bumping you, we're gonna get nowhere.
Right, that is true. That's 100% true. That's interesting though, man. That whole plight, You remember, man, like back, I don't know if
we coming up on Black History Month. Hold on, Falls, real quick. Because we coming up on Black History Month, I would say this. I would tell people, to what I just said, if we watch this, go look the Malcom X ballot book.
Ballot or the bullet, I heard about that. Okay.
One of his most famous is he said everything about he lays out in the first 10 minutes, literally off speaking about he's not here as a Muslim. He's not here as a Muslim. He's here as a Black man.
As a Black man.
Deal with the issue.
He's first and foremost a Black man. Next thing I want to get into, man, is the C word, man. And I think we both know what that is, man. What is your immediate opinion about it? I mean, I did my research on it and looking at it. Do you think it was weaponized or politicized or both? Like, what is your take on that?
I really believe
I know it's real. Don't get me wrong. I know it's real. But what do you do with, like, as far as its origins and where it came from, like what is your take on it, man?
Well, I mean, all indications kind of lean towards this is, science. Mm-hmm. So if it's science, then we're talking about something that people kind of, made up, which would not be new.
Yeah, engineered it in a lab
history
somewhere.
and stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
right. It seems like something that's in a lab.
Mm-hmm.
So knowing what we kind of know about the world, if it comes out in a lab like that, then it's definitely going to be politicized and weaponized and just used against us. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Do you think? I mean, because it was. I don't know if you're familiar with the Georgia Guidestones. You ever heard of the Georgia Guidestones? And this was a thing made in the 80s. You can look it up. But what it said was that this is, like I said, this is the 80s, bro. It said that for the world to run effectively and efficiently, it needed no more than 5 billion people, right? This was in the 80s. I think they weren't even that far yet. But now we had 7 billion people. So I don't know. One of my theories was that it was used for population control because it was knocking people off, man. You know what I mean? So I don't know about that aspect of it. And then, like, I think now they figured out just over the last few years that a pandemic is profitable. Because anybody that has something to do with it, it's you know what I mean? It's cashing out from the tests, from the shortage on the food. I mean, like everything. Anybody got, a hand in it, man. I mean, like, so it's something, man. What do you think, man? Do you think we ever see the end of it, or what do you think? It's just everything is shifted from here on out, or what?
Well, I mean, lately these reports about how they're trying to redo the mandates and drop the mask and all of that stuff, they're actually kind of alluding to it. But when you talk about population control, another one, I'm in the quoting our greats with this kind of stuff. Dr. Amos Wilson has a book and a lecture called The Blueprint for Black Power, and in Amos Wilson. He says, Amos Wilson, Dr. Amos Wilson. He did The Blueprint for Black Power. He did Awakening the Natural Genius of a Black Child. This man is a psychologist, great individual. He passed on some years ago, but he left us a lot of great work. But in his Blueprint for Black Power, he talks about how population control can easily be looked at as that number that they're trying to cover is just the greedy people. So no more population control if there's no more greedy people.
Yeah.
Getting rid of the greedy people will get rid. Right. We don't have to talk about none of the downtrodden. We don't have to talk about none of the lost, the homeless, the killed, the raped, the victimized, the oppressed, nothing. Get rid of the greedy people, and there's no more population control. It's literally that simple.
And how do you do that? Are you familiar with Agenda 2030?
No, Agenda 2030 is this? No.
Well, that's supposedly, allegedly, should I say? I've done the research on that too, and that's an agenda to have all this stuff done by the year 2030. And so, if you think about it, a lot of stuff popped off in 2020, right? Like it was coming, it was winding up in end of 2019, but 2020 stuff really set. So that was the 10-year mark for them to really get all this sustainable food sources, like how everything has changed with businesses, how AI, it's like a worldwide agenda to have 10 years to pull all this stuff off,
Right.
So I think the big C word might have been part of that. You know what I mean? I think it might have been part of that whole equation to kind of usher in, if you will, the NWO, you know what I'm saying? To kind of push it in. So that's just some of the stuff I've been looking at, connecting the dots. And I don't think a lot of stuff is not coincidental. You know what I mean? You just look at it. I think a lot of it's just hidden in plain sight. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you think about what's on the back of the dollar and how long ago that was printed, that Novus. I think it's another word, but you know what I'm talking about? It's written Novus something, but that was so long ago that they printed that, bro. Like it's crazy, man. And a lot of people don't know that the United States of America is really a corporation.
Correct.
You familiar with that? Yeah, it's like, you know what I mean? The people are like, they just the people are like the people are like the new oil now, like with data, but it's like a corporation, man, and everybody with a social security number is like, you know, almost like a worker. You know what I mean? So it's just deep, man. But I think that the big C word is just, it's just something else, man. You know, it's just.
I mean, like I said, I mean it's one of the reasons why I'm in Texas. You know,
That's one of the reasons why, huh?
Yeah, it took both my parents within a week, 2 weeks of each other,
man.
And I would just tell
with the aftermath of it firsthand, huh?
Yeah, and I would tell people honestly, when we have reports now of them talking about how natural immunity was stronger than a booster.
Yeah.
When they tell you things like the mask works, and they do these types of things, an individual who would hit me like it hit me lets me know what it is. Just put what I said together. Mask mandates, all that. Come on, man. They dropped all that. They dropped all that.
And why?
Natural immunity works.
That means so like the stuff your body can naturally come up with will fight it off.
Right, man. We got this big thing beaming behind me. It's called a sun.
Right. Yeah.
That thing.
Yeah.
Right. Everything is connected. So, I mean, natural immunity to me, I come from that school of thought. I believe it works. You know, I believe what we put in our body means something.
Yeah,
you know, so yeah. And if you know anything about the medical field, you know you're not supposed to be crossbreeding drugs.
Right. Yeah.
You're not supposed to be doing that.
Yeah, crossbreeding, like for instance, what? Like what you mean? Like mixing this with
like
that?
You don't want to be putting heart medicine and with you know, I think like aspirin or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you want to do these types of things. So you got to apply that. When you think about these initial reports that we're talking about, older people who already had preconditions.
Okay. So you mix.
They were already taking stuff for that. So when you add a shot to it,
and you got all that going on inside their body, what else is it gonna do but knock them off? Yeah,
exactly. Exactly. So you got to put the wording together, man.
Yeah, segue. And then how you feel about the big V word, man? As or should we say the P word, as Corey Holcomb like to call it though?
Yeah.
I like that post, man. I said I gotta hit this brother.
He's so on point. He's somebody too. When we were talking about, you know, being woke and coming into consciousness, he's not always the most woke person or conscious person that you'll find, but he's a great example of it.
He has it, don't he? Yeah.
It's grown on him more because he's already a certain kind of person. You got to be a solid, truthful person who doesn't get offended at the truth, who doesn't get offended at certain facts, and just, you know, and be able to apply some logic to some of these things, some common sense to some of these things. But I mean, he goes through it great. To me, I feel about it. I'm un-V. I'm UV.
Okay, un-V.
Okay. You know what I mean? I haven't had an issue. I haven't had anything go on with me. You know what I mean? And I'm directly hit by, you know, this in terms of like what I said before, having my parents. So I have a different view about it. I'm going to stand strong on it. I don't feel that I need it. I feel like taking care of myself first is the first line of defense.
Do you believe in natural healing? A natural healing, like herbal teas and you know, eating the right foods and stuff like that, alkaline foods, or more like, do you believe in stuff like that?
100%. I was in a spaces and they were going over Dr. Sebi's diet, and a lot of it was spaces where people didn't really buy what he was talking about, you know, and we're really shooting down the diet. But in essence, you have to just say that this man brought to the table more of the idea that what we put in our body and what we eat counts. That's just what all this boils down to.
Yeah,
we can't ignore the fact.
Yeah,
we've been ignoring it. So if we've been ignoring it, and most of us have not been on that diet or been on a diet that's relatively healthy for us, how can we say that anybody who comes with that type of idea is wrong? Most of us don't live like that. We didn't grow up like that.
We didn't, man. We didn't.
the results are the results, man. The diabetes, the cancer, all of this type of stuff that
and
we
you
see.
know what's crazy to that point is that over those like the Western diet is jacked up, man. You know, as far as everybody on the West, but if you look at the East, we're talking about Africa, China, they don't have these kind of problems.
Yep, much more fresh fruits in their diet, everything.
Yeah, they don't, and they smaller like America, man. We have so much, man, and like you think about all the fast food places, all of them are always busy, dude. And it's like we putting this stuff in our body. That's what's killing us, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like it's speeding up too. It's like they speeding up the process, man. It's just crazy, man. But I went really back. I've been on my herbal teas and stuff like that. So I'm a real big, advocate of that. I could do a little better with my eating sometimes, but I've changed it a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just tell people, I said, now you think about how can they give you the hamburger, the bun, the lettuce, the wrapper? How can they give you that for $1?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, how can they give you that for $1?
Right.
I mean, the meat alone should be worth when they slanging them for $1. So they got to get it for probably 25 cents.
Yeah, exactly, man. And that's where we just gotta be smart. We just gotta be smart. Apply the knowledge of things that we learn and go from there. It doesn't have to be a perfect process. So much of us are just caught up in it being perfect. We won't do it unless we could do it all the way right. Like crawl before you walk. Crawl before you walk.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a process for me too. I take on the majority of my diet is plant-based. I've been on that for almost 2 years.
Really? Yeah. I was on it real heavy. I mean, I have my little stuff here and there, but it's nowhere like I used to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I just noticed the plants, it just has more natural minerals and vitamins in it. And then you look at they say, now look at like something like a gorilla, right? Look how big that thing. He don't eat no meat.
Right.
Berries, plants. You know what I mean? So if you look at nature, sometimes it's amazing, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You think about like even the people that before we came over here, it wasn't no hamburgers, it wasn't no steak, and it wasn't none of that. And people lived longer. It's like
we lived off of the earth. Yeah, we lived off of the earth.
Off of the earth.
And that's where again I stress learning. Professor Smalls had said something that was just profound with me, man, when he said history erases the mystery, man.
Yeah.
This is why you study history. Yeah. You study history so you could understand what you could do today. And when we see that people live to 115, 120, you got to ask yourself, what did they do?
What did they do? And how was they doing it? How was they doing it? Yeah, what was they right. That's what he said Smalls did.
Yeah. Professor Smalls has said that. I'm not sure if he's the one who actually came up with the quote, but I've heard him say it.
Thought about it like that's heavy. That's heavy, man. That's heavy.
History erases the mystery, man. And that's perpetually our problem as a group.
Yeah. That's great. Well, how do you feel?
We don't have a consensus knowledge.
Right. How do you feel about economic inclusion, man? Do you think we are like systematically kept out of the economic space as far as like the fairness of it? Do you think we are systematically kept out of the economic, like redlining with real estate and just not getting the same opportunities?
I think but I think the one word you used that makes it what it is systematic.
Systematic. Okay. Yeah.
Right. We got to understand that we're asking to be involved in a system that wasn't created for us.
They didn't want no part of us.
Right.
And we asking to get in. Yeah.
Thank you.
Right. So why would they play fair? Why would they play fair? Huh? Yeah.
Why? Why would I be up 20?
Yeah.
Why would I do all that work to get up 20 just to give you 19 points?
Golly, yeah. They're not gonna.
Why would I do that?
Yeah, that's evening out the playing field, man, ain't it? Yeah.
Right. I'm not here to equal the playing field. Nothing in my history, nothing in what I've done has ever showed you I'm trying to be a part on no equal playing field. I've never showed you that. I've never showed you that ever, ever.
So
what I did was I used you to get what I wanted.
Right. And you know, it's so crazy, man, when you look at it like that the free labor of the Black people built this country, man. And then when they wanted to start, so say like when they started having the jobs, like the union jobs or whatnot, then they wanted to keep us out. But like, wait a minute, when we was doing it for free, we was qualified. Oh, now they paying. You don't want us to be in on it. It's just cold, man. When you think about how they went about it, bro, it's just like, man, it's cold, man.
It started in such horror. That's the thing about it. It started, you know, we don't look at the brutality of slavery enough to understand how that mentality came to be, man. You know, when you talk about the type of brutal tactics that were used, most of us can't even handle watching it on Facebook.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so, and just to live through it. That's why I was like last week, man, I was watching Django again. You know, I don't know what, sometimes I go back and just watch it again, but it's just like, you can imagine just being in that, bro. Like, that's just crazy, man. You know
that threat is constant all the time in that era, man. It's all the time. It does not turn off. Going to the grocery store, going to get some water, going
just
to
doing everyday stuff,
whatever for your family. And the thing is that that threat thereof, so to speak, is still prevalent today. But the reality is that it's not from every single individual from the other side.
It's not like it was. Okay, right. It's still out there, but not as okay. Yeah, I got you. I got you. Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's still out there. You know what I mean? And it's like they've just found a way to kind of redo it almost, if you will. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They adapted.
Yeah. That's crazy, man.
You know.
Taking it back a little bit, I meant to ask you about this earlier, and I know you kind of grew up in the era. Well, do you think that, like, you remember the conscious rap era? We were talking about like X-Clan, Poor Righteous Teachers,
early 90s.
Yeah, I mean, like, what do you think about that?
90s.
Yeah, did you miss that movement? And what do you think happened? You think just like the gangster rap came in and kind of took over that, or what? Like, what do you think happened to that movement, man? KRS-One. I mean, like, it was knowledge, man. Like, back that was a great era, bro. I still bump that stuff to this day, man. Paris, you remember the cat Paris?
I've heard of these guys.
Yeah.
Wise until I can't do that because I don't want to take credit for the knowledge that era did. I'm after that era, so I'm a part of the. I'm the Jay-Z era. I'm the beginning of the Jay-Z era into that. So I'm like Jay-Z, Wayne, Outkast, these guys.
Okay.
But I'm familiar because I'm there. But because I'm in hip hop, I know who X-Clan is, Lost Poets, all these guys. Wise Intelligence had broke this. Yeah. He broke this down. Yeah. He broke this down on Instagram. You can find it on his page.
I think I remember that.
Yeah. And he talks about it. He talks about how they had people, violence was down. They had people rocking HBCU sweaters, African medallions. The Black is Beautiful thing was going in, and they were ushering in that kind of music. Music is very influential, but once they took that out, once systematically, the radios weren't messing with it no more.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
Then here we have gangster rap and stuff like that, you know. So
anything that's gonna get us to turn up, kill each other, boost the crime rate, continue the pipeline to prison. You know what I mean? Like all of that, man. And you're right, the radios wasn't rocking with it no more. You know what I mean?
Right. Because because the radio is another space. A radio is another space where we're asking to be somewhere. Right?
Media. It's part of media too.
These independent platforms. Yeah, your platform and other platforms. Those are the platforms to reach out to when you want to get something of some substance put into the world. You know, that's the thing about it. We're continuously asking to be a part of systems, institutions, churches, all of these that were not designed for us.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2022, I'm telling you, it's the information age already. The dumb nigga or the slow nigga, the blind, the dumb, deaf, and blind. That era over, bro.
It's over.
Everybody has a piece of knowledge. So now it's really about how you apply that knowledge. Our people got to start trusting people outside of the people that they normally would go to.
Yeah,
you know,
that's true. That's true.
That's the thing about it, because again, we had all these doctors, all these CDC people, and all this stuff tell us one thing about this issue, right? Just to come and find out later, a year and a half later, it's something different, or they willing to fold on it, or really to make some type of accommodation for it.
Yeah,
huh?
Something completely different. Yeah,
right. So
but
if
by that time, like you said, a year and a half, just like the damage is already done by now.
Exactly. You know what I mean? But we had people in the community as well who were throwing up flags when it first went up to say, hey, wait a minute, chill. Don't get caught up in the newsreel and stuff. Remember what this is, let's do some more research, essentially is what we're saying. Do some more research. Wait, because nobody knows what it is. But you can't throw those people to the side. And now a year and a half later, after we done lost all these people, be like, oh, you was right. But we got to be smart. If we're going to beat the game, we got to get ahead of the game. And in order to get ahead of the game, you got to know what the game is. You got to know what it is.
Right. That's true. And speaking of that, like you say, all these false narratives or whatever, my next segue is into like media and big tech, its role in this whole, thing we fighting against, being conscious and all that, because I forgot who said, I think it was Dick Gregory. YouTube has been running marathons of his stuff lately, bro. I catch a lot of it, but he said, you think about it, he said, now, if I own a newspaper or a publication or a TV show, I'm going to give you the view I want you to have. I'm not going to give you what it is. I'm going to try to shape the view so I can say, oh, this is what it is. It's not really that, but I'm gonna shape it to where, you know what I mean? But how do you feel in this era that the media, like we say, radio is part of media, TV, and now even big tech, we talking Facebook, the YouTube boys, all that. How do you feel their role is? And you think they with it, with the censorship and all that? They're trying to shut, it's supposed to be freedom of speech, but they're trying to shut people down too, man. Huh? How do you feel about all their role and everything?
It's probably the only thing at this point that has trumped hip hop.
Yeah, right.
Hip hop probably was the biggest thing. It's been the biggest thing as far as that goes for a long time. But this tech thing has pretty much taken that over. I mean,
hip hop was the internet. Hip hop was the internet before the internet. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how we got our information and our game and our knowledge and all that. And you're right, this is Trump. Yeah, that's a perfect.
Yeah, I mean, we literally have children. Who will take their own life before they log off.
Bro, it's
that's how
so many. It's been so many, dude. It's just like. Yeah. Like I never thought I would see the era of this, bro. Like I never thought I would see it before they log off. I mean, really murked on camera. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. I'd rather take my own life off of what I see in this cyber world than to just log off, deactivate. In most cases, what a lot of people need to do is just account deletion. Just account deletion.
Yeah.
And psychologists, they're going to end up, if they not already, they're going to end up speaking to you for those who go see therapists and stuff like that. That's probably going to start being a part of the questions as to trying to figure out what's going on with you. How often do you spend time on the internet? How often do you spend time taking opinions, giving your opinions, basing your life off of this world that you could just log off?
And if you think about it, Facebook is really probably the start of it. But Facebook is only like what? Think about 14 or 15 years old. It's not even that old, and it's done a lot, man. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna tell you something. Well, hold on now. Before then, MySpace.
MySpace, right? That was the
before then,
dangerous.
Before then, they had a thing called Web TV.
Web TV. I don't even remember that. Web TV. Was that similar?
Yes, it was the start when the chat groups, specifically them chat groups over the internet started. That's where it started, because you could start invoking your opinion to a mass amount of people that you didn't know.
People. Yeah, yeah. They said I heard.
Then you also taking stuff too.
You taking stuff in. You're taking stuff in. Yeah, I heard an interesting thing about Facebook, and they said it was really designed. It's a social experiment, but it was really designed to see what people think. To see what's everybody's thinking about. You know what I mean? Let's put it out here. I mean, it has one element to it that is connecting people. We more connected than ever, right? People finding they lost friends, they family members, but the dark side of it is that they're tapping into everything too. You know what I mean? Like they got this one thing is positive, but then all this other stuff underneath it that is built together though, man. But that's crazy, man. You right, all the people's opinions, and it's just something else, man. You know
what's on people's mind. That's people. I don't know if people are familiar, but that's how the Google search works. It's essentially a bunch of our questions and opinion logged into a network, and then answers are given back out based on that.
Based on that. Yeah. And just think how much data they have on everybody. You know what I mean? Like I said, data is oil. And how much data they got on it's just whatever you type in that stuff is the servers, from what I understand, is just like, years of stuff. You can pull up somebody did 10 years ago. Like the internet, like stuff. I say the internet is a place where nothing never dies, man. It's just
nothing, man.
Yeah, it's crazy, man.
And we have to use that. We have to use that to our advantage
in the right way.
We have to use that to start controlling our narrative as a group, to start doing great things like what you're doing by creating podcasts and platforms and outlets for us to be truthful, speak openly, and help ourselves out. So it has a lot of effects, detrimental effects, but
we can use it in another way.
Right. It can always be used in another way, a way that really helps us, man. And I don't want to make it seem like we haven't got anything right. We've done a lot of things right, and we are continuing to do things right now. But we have so much further to go.
A long way to go.
We can base that on what we're still asking for.
Yeah, and what we're still trying to do. That is true. I remember, that's why it's such one of my favorite movies is The Matrix, and I think it was in '99 it came out. And at the end of the movie, Neo said, it's too late now. Like the information is out here. You can't stop us. And it was kind of like the dawn of the new era coming in. And he was talking about the information age, how everything's online, you got access. But he was saying like it's too late now and everything has changed. I just think that was the start of it. You know what I mean? The start of this whole new era, man. Well, definitely interesting.
But we can never give up that hope to change it. Those things change. And yes, the world, I'm not going to say evolution, because that's kind of a term that could be,
misinterpreted maybe.
Right. We think because we're in our day and time now that maybe somehow it was better than the past, or that some of the things that went on in the past, and I don't want to allude to that, but we could use these things to our advantage. These eras get ushered in only because we're not in our proper place. But we still have to know how to navigate through it. And because we know how to navigate through it, we have to be able to be smart enough as the great people, great thinkers that we've always been throughout entire history, even now, to just use it to our advantage. That's the main thing.
Learn how to use our advantage.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. I'm full of what we can do. You know what I mean? And what we should do and what we will do. We know too much about what has been done to us.
Yeah, way too much. We
don't know enough. We don't ask enough questions, and we don't dive into enough of what can we do? What can we possibly do? You know what I mean? We have to start being able to work with each other, which means we have to restore our relationships, our every average day relationship with each other. In passing, dealing with our families, stuff like that, we have to get on the same page of being locked in like how we see other groups locked in. By and large, we know we can't please everybody, but by and large.
By and large, yeah. You know, other groups are locked in too, bro. I mean, like, man, how are we losing like that? You know, it's like, man, look at the other nationalities, man. I'm like, man, we got everything with unity. You know what I mean? We got everything with unity. Man.
Everything.
You know, it's crazy, man. I want to speak on some of. I know you mentioned a couple of books, man. You probably one of the only cats that I see some of the books you put up on your stories or whatnot. I'm like, man, I wonder where does he get his stuff from? Because you got some deep reads, man. What are you reading currently? Anything you reading right now currently?
Well, right now I'm more in, because again, I'm about restoring my African self. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And yeah, so I'm more about trying to get back to more traditional African traditions. So I'm studying a lot of spiritual stuff. The negative confessions of Ma'at, just basically our spiritual system.
Okay.
Our
do you have a certain store that you get all your stuff from, or you just find it where you find it, or what? Like, what do you just you come up with a title? Like you'll find a title and just read and pull it up somewhere, or what?
Well, it comes to a lot from the lectures that I find. You know, again, I start with people who are kind of not here. You know, Dr. John Henrik Clarke.
Is someone, I heard of him. Okay.
Right. It's huge. When you listen to his lectures, if you have the patience, you know, you don't have to be able to sit through the whole 3 hours like maybe someone like me might. But if you just take 10, 15 minutes to listen to him, he'll quote a book. He'll quote 2 books or 2, you know, while you listening to him. And then that starts my road to like Amos Wilson's, you know, the Khalid Muhammad.
Khalid Muhammad, that's another one. Yeah. You know what I do too? You know how you said like it's 3 hours. You know what I do, especially on YouTube? I listen to a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
Come back, I might listen to 15, 20 minutes. Another day, I might, you know, listen to another 30, 40 minutes of it, but I don't try to eat the whole thing at once. I try to digest a little bit at a time, you know. I do my own research more than ever, man. You know what I mean? I take notes and compare stuff, but that's good. Who else what about Bobby Hemmett, man? You up on him? You heard him?
Yeah, man. When you know, I like how he explains stuff.
He's kind of raw with it too, ain't he? Yeah, he's kind of raw.
He is. And when we talk about because he does a lot of stuff with you know, spiritual wise.
Right. Yeah.
And we can find the best of those videos and those lectures. Just his mannerisms.
You know? Yeah.
And the way he delivers the message, you know, it's gonna resonate with our people. You know what I mean?
His delivery.
It's just one of those things, you know. And like I said, I don't know that subject to the level that Hemmett does, or even others.
He talks it so like he really knows it. You can tell the way he talks. You know what I mean? He's like not like all that's like off dome almost, man. I'm getting impressed. I'm like, dude, I don't see no notes or nothing. This dude, like, he internalizes a lot of that information, man. It's crazy. Who are some of the other scholars, man, you rock with?
We have to realize all of that have been taken from us. You know what I mean? All the type of information taken from us. So it's not my job to every single word that Malcolm or Martin or Bobby Hemmett said to take it, you know, at face value. I take it, I internalize it, but then I go do some additional research because I'm in a different era, right?
That's true.
But I never get away from the core of what they're talking about. I just understand that new information and new facts sometimes can be presented to the table. And as long as that the source that brought that particular information to me is credible, then I'll use it. If it's not, I'll discard it and keep going along with the process. But I don't just throw away what Malcolm said. I don't just throw away what Martin said. I just don't throw away what Khaled said because I'm in 2022 or Bobby Hemmett or anybody. That stuff is there for a purpose because we're still dealing with the same thing.
Still applies. Yeah, that's true. All these years,
man.
That's true, man. Most definitely, man. So I just wanted to get your opinion on a lot of that stuff, man. I mean, this is so deep, man. We could like go on for it, man. We definitely might, revisit this. It might just be an ongoing series, because there's so much we can get into. We can break down a book or whatever, break down some stuff. But definitely want to just initially touch base with you, man, on this woke supremacy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I love it. I've already talking to a bunch of brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you want to get a panel together, I know some people.
That's the next move.
I definitely,
that's the next
move. I don't know everything, but I know some other brothers,
strong-minded brothers. Bringing other brothers in that has other information that helps us sharpen each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
You got a vantage point of your knowledge. I know some, another cat knows some. You know what I'm saying? We just be shing, you know what I mean? Just stay sharp. Yeah. So I think we might try to put that together on another move, man. Definitely.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good look, man. Let us know that black men can still work together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We take a lot of heat out here.
Yeah. What is that Facebook group y'all in? You call it, what is it, Kings? What did you say it was?
Kings. It's the Kings chat room.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a particular admin in it. My man Josh. So he kind of got to approve everybody in it. But I love that part about it.
Okay.
And anybody who reaches out, to me, if you're connected to any of my social media handles or whatever, and you're looking to get in the group, I'll definitely
okay. And how did you find that group? How did you even come across them cats, man?
Just being in this rap game, man. People see my page, it was some other people who was like, I think you'd be good in this group. And I was like, send it to me. And that's how I got it. That's how I got it.
Yeah, that's where it started, from the rap game too, man. Let's not forget what you got coming up music wise, man. While we at it, man. I know you just dropped the one joint, man. I know you got some stuff in there, man.
I wish I could say, man. I've been totally out of the lab.
Totally out, yeah. So I feel you. You in another space. I feel you. But your stuff you got still. I did go
check out one studio and record a little bit, but I probably there's no new updates. If I'm just gonna be frank about it, there's no new updates. I'm gonna be beginning my music year start next month, so I'll start getting in the lab next month, and I'll have something later on.
Yeah, I feel you, man. You're in a different zone, but I know you always got that. That's like your foundation. But that, like you say, being in the rap game got you into other stuff. You know what I mean? And I think sometimes too, man. Even with myself, like we start out in one area, but we use those skills we hone in the area, and we really, kind of gravitate towards something else. Like your voice, your knowledge. So you used it in the rap game, but now it's being used somewhere else. And I think that's real growth, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I got my own camera now. I'm looking to I'm looking to expand creative rise. So I'm gonna be getting I'm gonna be trying to visually help put together things like what we're discussing now. I got some fine ideas, but I'm new to the whole thing, so I'm just getting that in the process.
Sometimes it's the best stage of it, being the new, because like you don't know no rules, being new to it. I mean, that's the best stages of it, man.
I love it, man.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, definitely, man. Well, brother, I appreciate your time, man. Anything else, man, we need to know, man, before we get out of here, man?
Yeah, let me do a little plug real quick. This
man, definitely, man. Who'd you get that from? Where you get that at?
I got that from my guy, JT. He runs Sane African, SANE, African with a K.
Okay. Sane African with a K. AFRIKAN?
Correct.
Okay. He's where can we find him? He's on Instagram. He got a website or what?
He's on he actually just got booted off Twitter. So
he must have been going hard, huh?
Oh yeah, we talk. I've done some interviews with him as well.
Really?
I mean, yeah, it's deep. I could definitely talk to him. We talk about, we go deep, especially on male advocacy.
Okay.
Really out to change the narrative that Black males by and large have in this world. We want people to know that we're not just the in prison, in gangs, down low or whatever. We're actually working fathers, working men out here, and we can work together and stuff like that. So
like that,
Saying
that, I'm about to look that up, man. That's a dope show. Do you get a lot of other stuff from him or what?
No, he just has the shirt. This is just a guy that I know. Like I said, he'll do. Let
me see it again. Let me pull it again. It's like, what is? Is that a fingerprint? What is that on there? Let me see it. Step back a little bit again.
Oh, yeah. This is a fingerprint.
Yeah, and it got
with the continent in the middle.
That's dope, bro. That is dope, man. I like that.
With this being essentially Egypt.
Egypt, okay. And you always stay rocking the shirts and the gear, man. I gotta get always that, man. I give it to you that, man. Supporting each other. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. I seen you with that Live Victorious jumpsuit on.
Yeah.
Boy, that's hot right there. I said, okay, go ahead,
I try to rock brands that represent, that resonate with me. You know what I mean? And like stuff I like going on. Right on, man. So
most definitely.
You've been rocking the hats. You was rocking the hats in the while back.
Oh yeah, I was one of the first to kind of jump out the window.
Right. I seen him, but I wasn't really rocking with him then. But I met him and got to know him a little better and stuff. So I like support cats to do this, doing their thing, just trying to do their thing.
Shout out Live Victorious, man.
Shout out, man. Definitely, man. So, but okay, my brother, I appreciate your time, man. We'll reconvene, man. I get back with you, man. We're gonna chop this up, put it out, whatnot, shoot it to you, man, and we, probably keep this series going. You know what I mean? Because I think one time we can't touch on everything, and then everything is so ongoing. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
changing, and we can bring some other cats on. You know what I mean? So I think it'll be a good look, man. Definitely be a good
look. Man. I appreciate you having me, man. Let's keep it going, man. Our people need it.
Yep, absolutely. D.Fos podcast, J.Cap, Woke Supremacy, the first episode. We out. All right, my brother. I get with you, man. Peace.
Yes, sir.